Hi everyone, good evening. I hope you all are fine. And I'm going to just give you an introduction today about strategic business leader. Okay, so SBL exam. I hope you can see me and I am clearly audible to you. Just a quick yes in the chat box. Okay, okay, great. So let us begin with this session where I'm going to give you an introduction about strategic business leader, and we are going to discuss about how to study for this exam and how we will be pursuing our course in the upcoming months for strategic business leader for those of you who have enrolled or who are planning to enroll. So how to study and what will be the plan of action. This is what this class is designed for. So before I start with how to study and what will be the plan of action, first I need to know what is basically there in SPL. So there's a lot of this stereotype that SBL is the toughest exam. It's a 4-hour case study. We have to give our best in this particular paper, and it's very difficult to crack this exam. This is something which is ongoing in the current situation where students are feeling this way that okay, it's very difficult to crack SPL because it's a tough exam. It's a 4-hour case study and just one question for 100 marks. So this is something which is very prevalent as of now. But I am here to tell you that yes, SBL is a 4-hour case study. Yes, it is a 4-hour case study. And there will be just one question, and your difficulty level is increased by the fact that this one question will be in the form of computer based exam. So what does that mean? If something is in the form of computer based exam, how is that thing going to affect me in my paper? So 4-hour case study, computer based exam. So previously when I gave my SBL paper, I gave it in the paper based format. So I used to annotate a lot, and then I used to, tilt the pages, and I used to actually highlight the things which I found important in the case study, and based on that I used to write my answer. But that is now not possible in your case because it will be a computer based exam. So you'll have to shift the exhibits, the taskbars, rather than shifting the pages, tilting the pages. You will have to actually not annotate but highlight the things. And there are times when the platform is not working correctly and we face difficulties while highlighting stuff. So this is first challenge which I have recognized in present situation. For those of you who have a computer based exam, the first challenge, rather than saying that it is a 4-hour case study, the first challenge you have to face is the computer based exam, which makes SBL difficult for you if you do not practice it much on computer based platform, computer based ACCA exam platform. Okay, so that's the first thing which we have recognized till now. Now, guys, what is there basically in my SBL paper and what is tested? What is the content? So, if I talk about, let's suppose SBR, I know that accounting standards is the core of SBR. What is the core of strategic business leader? What is the content of strategic business leader? The content of the strategic business leader is your governance. Okay, it's basically all about a businessman. So if you guys anytime in future think about opening your own business, being an entrepreneur, and venturing out and taking risk and doing your own business, what all mindset which you will have as a businessman, that is strategic business leader. The person who is leading a firm, he's a leader. A business, what is given in your name of the exam, a business and the leader. So strategic business leader. So there is a topic named strategy. That is the most important topic. And then there is a topic related to leadership. That is also very important in SPL. So first thing first, what is there in the name? Business, strategic business, so strategy topic and the leadership topic. That is very important. So you have to think from the perspective of an entrepreneur. You have to think as a businessman. If this thing happens to your company, how will you combat this? What will be your strategy? What will be your analysis? How will you interpret the financial analysis? What decision you would take? So if I tell you, okay, you have one business and you have a choice of picking an investment. So will you make that investment? I give you a full set of information. Will you make that investment? On what information, on what data, on what calculation you will base your decision? That's what you have to present in your SPLP. So that is basically the idea of the content of SPL. That's why I say, even if you don't study for the strategic business leader paper, and you know you have been doing business, or you have a mind of a businessman, I can say you can easily crack this paper because you have the commercial sense. So commercial sense here, that's the most important thing. Commercial sense here is important, is greater than any book knowledge. So commercial sense here is greater than any book knowledge. So you might do lot of models, you might do lot of theories, but you don't have the commercial sense. Then you can't crack this exam. That's why there are few people who have even done the professional qualifications like Indian CA, and they are even stuck on this paper because maybe we sometimes get too deep in the book. So if you see the BPP book of SBL, this is this much big, and there is lot of theory, lot of models there, and lot of things to be studied. So that makes SBL more tough. So I would recommend you to cut down your time, to cut down your time which you spend on the study text. So that's why I recommend you a set of notes, which I'm just going to show you now. That is your comprehensive notes. Now, these notes are from ACCA, and we are going to refer to these notes throughout our course if you're going to enroll for the course. So I'm going to solve the questions from the kit with you. Okay. I'm going to solve the questions from the kit with you. I'm going to cover these notes with you. Then I'm going to take some assignments from the topics of these very notes. So if you see these notes, the number of pages is just 167. And then just refer to your BPP book. It is more than 500 pages or so. So it's matching the level of taxation. SBL is matching the level of ATX by the number of pages it has and the content it has. Now you would say that why a tutor is saying that content is not important. So just tell me, if you know the most of the successful entrepreneurs, have you ever seen a person with so much book knowledge succeed in his life? You have seen, if you talk about the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, he never did his studies, and he was just selling tea on the stalls, and now he's the Prime Minister. So he had the commercial sense, he had the communication skills, and that's why he's there at where he is today, right? So that's basically the mindset of a businessman. You don't need the knowledge, you don't need much of the knowledge, because then that would become dangerous. Now I will tell you why this will become dangerous. Suppose I get a case study, okay? Suppose I get a situation where they tell me that I have a company XYZ, and in that company I am facing an issue. Now, if my business is facing an issue and I make myself the owner of that company, or in the requirement, they will tell you that, okay, this is the requirement, and you are the management consultant. So you will be given one name, you will be given one actual designation. Either you will be a consultant, or you will be a management consultant, or a businessman, or the owner, or the finance manager. So you will be given one designation, then you will be given one set of format in which you have to present your answer. So one designation, and then one format in which I have to form my answer. So based on that designation, just think of you as an actor. You have to act. Okay, you have to think that actually I am a consultant. So think of a situation that owner of this company comes to me and asks me that my company is facing, liquidity problems that I don't know what to do. So what will you advise him? Whatever comes to your mind first. If he is facing the liquidity problems, what you will advise him first, that should come from your commercial sense, because it's not there in your books. It's not directly there in your books. So if there is a case study where I'm told about a situation, about a problem, and I go on writing about the models, about the uh, things which I read in the syllabus, then there is a chance that I will let that knowledge supersede. I will let that knowledge supersede my commercial sense, which is dangerous. So that's the reason we will use these notes. We will get the apt dose of the knowledge, and we will get the apt dose of application skills by practicing the questions from the kit. So I will be making you go through the questions. I will brainstorm things with you. I will share the real world case studies with you on the WhatsApp group, which we will have. And I will let you know that, okay, uh, how to think about this particular scenario. If this thing happened with any company, so what would you do if you were the owner? So what would you do if you were the owner? So let's talk about Tanishq. If you guys know about this Indian company, Tanishq, the jewelers. So what happened with them very recently was there was an advertisement upon which many Indian people said that this is a wrong advertisement. This was related to some religious sentiments, right? So I hope there are international students here as well. So you might not be knowing, but Tanishq is a listed company in India, and it faced certain issues because they they publish certain advertisement in the TV and the television, and then they faced comeback from the public, so that depleted their goodwill for some time. Now that thing must have affected their share price. It was, the day when the advertisement came out, the very next day, that share price of this particular company, Tanish, it fell dramatically. So can you see the impact which it is having? So if I tell you, what will you be asked in SBL? You won't be asked about the effect of this advertisement on the stock price of Tanishq, but you would rather be asked that if you were the owner of this company and this thing happened with you, if this advertisement would have affected you, what will be your implication? What will be your follow up points on this particular situation? Right? So what will you do to actually save your company's goodwill, to actually combat these advertisement rumors, the thing which just happened with your company? So that is a type of question which you can be asked in SBL. So you will say that, okay, I will just try to clarify myself. I will try to make some more, I will just draw that advertisement, or I will make some modification to that advertisement, and then from the next time I will make my advertisement team warned against such things, that I should not be playing with the sentiments of the public, religious sentiments. So these are few steps which I will take, right? So this is the way you have to answer your paper. And then first you will be told that you are the owner, and then you will be asked to comply with some format. So I can just simply write my answer. I will have to comply with certain format. Like I will have to say that, okay, if I am writing an email, what is the format of an email? If I am writing an report, what is the format of a report? If I am writing, um, the presentation slide, I'm preparing a PPT, what is the presentation for that? So all of that we will be covering throughout our course. And that is basically the way questions are asked in strategic business leader. Now let me show you one paper, the past exam paper of strategic business leader, so that you guys have a better idea. Okay, March 2020 paper, let's see. So this is our ACCA website, and okay. So this is the way the questions are asked in SBL. This is basically a CBE paper, okay? So This is how the screenshots of the computer based exams look like. So first they have given you the instructions that okay, how you have to use the computer based platform. So you will read them, okay. uh, Before the exam starts, you will be given 10 minutes extra for this reading part. And then what we have is the instruction screen, again same reading part which you will do in 10 minutes. Okay, time allowed 4 hours. Exam contains one case study and questions worth 100 marks, and all tasks are compulsory. And the irony is that this one case study will be for 80 marks, but 20 marks are the professional marks. So 80 is the technical marks. So see, here only the relevance of the syllabus goes. Just 80 mark paper, one question, and 20 marks comes from your professional skills. So we'll have to work on the professional skills. I'll talk about the professional skills today. And important is you must indicate which task. So that is all about instructions. Now let us see the actual paper. Okay. Now see, this is how, I hope you can see my screen well. Let me just zoom a bit. Okay. So this is how you'll be presented your question. Now, these are the exhibits which I have to read for my whole this one case study. An overview of this company TT for you. Okay. Transcript of the director's meeting. Summary of Muebed client approach. That is one of the models. And then blog on IT consultancy sector. Then extract of results of client survey, discussion about threatening letter, cloud services, investment appraisal. Okay. Now, if I tell you about this overview of TT4U, this could be used in various requirements. Now, one basic question which students have that, ma'am, we have to read the whole case study at once, or we can read one exhibit and then answer one requirement. Unfortunately, you will have to read the whole case study and then answer the requirements, and I will tell you the reason. So, I had this question on vacuum cleaners in my own paper, and there we had this thing that, okay, there was some company on vacuum cleaner, and I was supposed to do the environment analysis, pestle analysis, and the Porter's five forces model, which we'll discuss during the syllabus sessions. So I was supposed to discuss the environment of that business. I was supposed to actually analyze the environment, what is ongoing in the political upfront, what is ongoing in the social upfront, the economical upfront, and the environmental and the legal upfront. So for that, I just read one exhibit and I answered the question. And then I moved towards the last exhibit. One point which I made in that 15 mark requirement, there was a 15 mark requirement on pestle analysis in my paper. And one point which I made in that pestle analysis was contradicted by the point in the last exhibit. So I wrote something in the pestle analysis. Maybe I said that, this thing won't harm the business because the political party is not changing, or political party is not volatile. People trust the political party. So they are, actually happy with the government. So if people are happy with the government, the businesses are secure. So that's how we analyze the environment. But this point was contradicted in the last exhibit, where they actually made a point that yes, there is an instability in the political environment. Now I can't go back and cut short my point which I made in the first requirement. So that's how this thing happened, and I got this lesson that first you have to read the full case study, and then you have to actually answer your questions. So how will you read the case study and how will you manage your task? That I will discuss when we'll solve one paper, mock paper on this computer based platform. What we will do is we will actually first read the exhibits, okay? And first we'll read all the requirements. Then I will just copy and paste all the requirements in my Word file, which is given as a spreadsheet, as a response option. So I will copy and paste everything there, the requirements. Then under those requirements, as and when I read the exhibits which you can see here, as and when I read the exhibits, I will cut copy the thing, the line from that particular exhibit and paste it in the response option under that particular requirement. So it might seem confusing to you as of now, but when we'll solve one mock exam on the computer-based platform, you will get the clarity about how to solve questions on basically your computer-based platform and how to utilize at most the time available, the you can say the tactic available, how to utilize it the utmost. Now let us move towards the task which are there in this particular question. Okay, so see this first task, you'll get a very good idea from here. So task 1 says TT4U Chief Executive Officer. So TT4U Chief Executive Officer is concerned about the possibility of the major contracts will not be won or renewed and would like your reviews on what the main risks are for TT4U. Prepare the briefing notes for the board which analyze the main risk that threaten TT4U being awarded new contracts and retaining current contracts. Professional skill mark available are for demonstrating the analysis skill in establishing the risk related to TT4U. Now guys, what is this risk they are talking about? If I tell you that I have a business, okay, I have a business model where I want to sell XYZ product, okay, to the target customers. Let's say the target customers are UK small and medium sized entities. So maybe I want to sell my accounting services to UK SME clients. That is my target, right? Now, how can I meet this target actually? That is very important. I must be having certain strategy. I must be having certain strategy to meet that target, to meet those clients, to get those clients. But then there is a risk attached to this strategy, which is known as strategical risk, strategy risk. Okay, the risk attached to the strategy. So, what is the risk attached to the strategy? That whether you will actually be able to meet your strategy objective or not. So, your objective was to get more clients. For that, you made a strategy. Okay, so what if your strategy fails? What is the risk there? So, that is what they're asking you here, that they are concerned about possibility that major customers contracts are coming from customers, they don't come from aliens. So customers sign contracts with you. What if the contract is not renewed? What if you guys studied SBR with me and my business model is to sell my tutoring services? What if you don't renew your service? What if you don't renew your contract in the next quarter for the other exam? That is my risk. So how will I combat that risk? Can't we answer this question very generally? We don't need any book knowledge for this, because whatever will be available in the case study. If they tell me that this is my business model, if this is my business strategies, if this is the particular situation, maybe the customers are not happy with me, maybe there is some complaint which customers have. So if these are general issues ongoing, so can't I answer this question very generally? So if you need not actually there is someone whose mic is not muted. Okay. So there might be some issue created, and you will have to tell that what is the risk here. And you can generally talk about it. If you have no idea about which model to use, if you have no idea about which framework to use, just write a general answer. So there are few things which you need to keep in mind, for which I am again moving towards my Word file, where I will let you know about those general things. Okay. Okay. Now just see this particular thing which I'm just going to write. Okay. Now there are few models to be applied in SBL, like Porter's 5 forces model, like pestle analysis, like Ansoff, like the the matrix which we had for the stakeholders. So all of these models have to be applied But guys, the model is not necessary. They won't cut your marks if you don't apply the model. That's the beauty of SBL. If I don't know about the particular model, if I don't know what is Potter's five forces model, I won't apply that model. And they won't directly tell you that this question relates to pestle analysis. They won't directly tell you that this question relates to the Potter's five forces model. You will have to identify which model is to be applied if you want to apply that model. How to identify? There are few keywords attached to every model. If they talk about external environment on macro basis, then I use the pestle analysis. If they tell me that analyze the external environment of the business at a macro level, then I'll say I'll use pestle analysis. I'll use the pestle model. So there are few keywords which are attached to every model which I have to use, and if I am able to identify that model, very good. You will be able to present your answer in a better and a structured way. So they are only there. They are only there for structuring of the answer. You may skip applying them if you are not sure about the content. So if you are not sure that in pestle analysis, what does the S stand for? If I'm not sure in pestle analysis, what does the S stands for? Then I won't apply the pestle analysis. I will just give my answer, write your answer in general bullet points, maintaining the flow of work, and correct differentiation between 2 points. Right? So this is what I have to do. I have to maintain my flow. I have to maintain my rationale, my logic, and I will have to correctly differentiate between 2 points. That is basically what we can do as a substitute for applying the models. So that I will discuss with you when we will be solving the kit. So when I solve the kit with you, I will say, okay, because in the case study, I just read this point, I just read this line. Now I know that this model has to be applied here. But if you are sure about the content of that model, content of all the models will be done during our sessions, okay? No worries for that. But if you're not sure, maybe in the exam you forgot, or maybe there is certain confusion, then don't apply that model and just make general points in bullet points and actually differentiate them, make short paragraphs, and maintain the flow of your work. That's the most important thing for getting those 20 professional marks. So now coming to your 20 professional marks, let me discuss the professional skills mark which are available in your exam. So let us discuss the professional skills mark. Okay. So first professional skill which is tested. So all of these 5 skills will be tested for sure, and 20 marks will be available for just application of these skills. So what is a skill? Skill is not knowledge. Skill is how you do something. So if I tell you that there is a tutor X and there is a tutor Y, tutor X has a lot of knowledge, but maybe he or she is not able to communicate that knowledge. Maybe he's not much expressive. And tutor Y, maybe he has less experience, but he's good at communicating, he's good at explaining a concept. So, of course, you will say a person is skilled in that work. This person is skilled in his work. So, that is having a skill, right? So, which skill I have to show in my SBL paper? The first skill which we'll talk about is the commercial acumen. This is the foremost skill. Okay. So what is commercial acumen? If I tell you that you have two options, either you invest in company A or you invest in company B. As a business, I'm not talking about, let's suppose I'm talking about merger and acquisition. I said either you can merge with company A or you can merge with company B. So what will you do? you will conduct the research, you will conduct the due diligence process, that whether that target company is good enough or not, whether that company is relevant to your industry, that company is showing actual figures in the statement of financial position. And then you will say that before even I conduct a due diligence process. So what is a due diligence process? What I'm talking about is the due diligence process. So what do you mean by due diligence process? Where you actually investigate the target company. So these are general knowledge things which you should have now because you are in professional level. So investigate the target company. So you actually value the target company. You give a value to the target company. You tell that if anyone wants to buy this company A, the value of this company as assessed by us is $1 million. So that is due diligence process. So before we merge with any company or we acquire any company, we actually conduct this due diligence process. So like audit happens, similarly due diligence also happens. So you actually appoint someone for the due diligence. Now, if you appointed the person, he's going to charge you something. So now, even before conducting the due diligence process, you will think that should I even go for this? Should this company be even considered for the merger and acquisition? Does this company deserve that I should incur this cost of due diligence on this particular ABCD company? So that is cost versus benefit analysis, which you do in every walk of life, which you should do in every walk of life. If you want to be a business minded person, if you want to make profits in life, you will have to do the cost versus benefit analysis. So that is commercial acumen. In the SBL case study, whether you're making a financial decision, whether you're making a qualitative decision, whether you are even thinking of conducting a new project, conducting a new operation, all you have to first do is cost versus benefit analysis. And in any requirement, if they ever ask you about the commercial acumen, if they ever tell you to imply or comply with the commercial acumen, then you must think that here I have to think about cost versus benefit. I need to see, does this cost can be recovered from the benefit which is expected from this decision? So that is cost versus benefit. So there are various aspects to cost versus benefit. In every decision we have cost versus benefit. So let me tell you one thing, like it's just not about acquiring a company or not acquiring a company. It's not just about if I'm buying a camera, then I have to see what is the cost of the camera and what is the benefit of the camera. It's sometimes about in few minor things as well. Like I'm getting a call, okay, and that student wants to just have a general discussion with me, and I have two options now. One is to attend that call of the student, another is the thing that okay, I'll just at cost of what is ongoing currently with me. Maybe I am watching some Netflix series, and maybe I am in a meeting for work, or maybe I am having a family time and that student is calling. So the cost of that student calling is forgiving that basic time which I was spending. So that is the cost. But what is the benefit here? Benefit is that I will be actually adding to the goodwill of my institute. I will be talking to the student. Maybe that could be a potential lead for me. Maybe they are going to be a potential client for me. And they, of course, what is the most important thing in a business? The most important thing is word to word advertisement. So if you have a happy client, that client is going to the next person and is going to tell them that this service provider is really good. So that is the cost versus benefit. So it's not just about numbers, sometimes it's about quality as well. That's what I wanted to explain you here, that the cost of it was for giving my quality time, entertaining myself, and the benefit was to my business creating a goodwill. So that is commercial acumen, where you think very business mindedly, where you think everything and compare it with cost and benefit. Okay. Nityashri, yes, recording will be available. No worries regarding that. Okay. Now let us discuss the second professional skill which you have. That is my professional skepticism. What is this professional skepticism? I suppose that you guys have done audit and assurance before. And if you have not done, I will just tell you this thing, that professional skepticism is the mind full of questions. So, a questioning mind is termed as professionally skeptical mind, mind full of questions. So, what is professional skepticism? From the perspective of an auditor. So I teach audit subject as well. So there the meaning of professional skepticism is different. They are basically talking about how the auditor will attack the client and talk about the financial statements. This is right, this is wrong. From where did you get this figure? What is the source document? Where is the bill? Where is the actual bank statement which relates to this transaction? So that is professional skepticism in audit. But professional skepticism in SBL is quite different. In professional skepticism, here you are asked to keep a questioning mind from the perspective of a consultant, from the perspective of an owner, from the perspective of a finance manager. So you are not here to investigate the things, but you are here to find the hidden points. Find the hidden points, hidden reasons. So, like for example, I tell you that, you know, I was not able to submit one of my projects to my university, okay? And now they, as a university, if they will act as an auditor, they will ask me the evidence. This happened with one of my friends. They weren't able to submit their master's project, final project. And the university asked for the evidence that why you were not able to submit the project. That relates to the audit part. But now if I tell you that my business is suffering low profitability ratios, and you just state a clear reason for it, you say, what is the formula for GP ratio? Anyone in the chat box, what is the formula of gross profit margin ratio? Gross profit divided by revenue into the sales. Yes, very good. So that is my formula for GP ratio. Now, if I just have this actual analysis with me that my GP ratio fell from previous year to the current year, and it has been a falling trend since 5 years. And I just state a very obvious reason that because my revenue fell, that's why my GP, because my revenue fell, that's why my this gross profit actually fell. So yes, this is GP over revenue into sales. So I said because my revenue fell, that's why my GP ratio fell, or my cost increased, that's why my GP ratio fell. Now here, if you are professionally skeptical, you won't just look for obvious reasons which are available in front of you. If I tell you my current ratio was depleting, you will say because my current liabilities increased, that's why my current ratio is depleting. No, that's a very kindergarten answer. Here you will have to show your skepticism. You will go into the depth. You will find the hidden points. So here in SBL, if in any requirement they state that there is to be a professional mark available for professional skepticism, that means there is a hidden point in the case study which you have to find, which you have to think yourself. You have to predict yourself. You'll have to analyze it yourself. So that is from the perspective of a businessman. So here we are not investigating, we are not asking for verification documents, but we are actually looking for the hidden points. I am questioning myself, I am questioning the situations, I am not questioning actual people who are involved in implementation. I'm not asking for any documents. I am just questioning the situation, right? So that is what we mean by professional skepticism in SBL. And then comes the third professional skill mark, that is for your analysis. Okay. Now you just saw one requirement where I was supposed to state the risk related to that, major contracts. So I was given marks, 5 marks for analysis. Okay. So what is this analysis skill? Analysis is that they will present you some information How much structured, how much structured means very nicely presented, very, not presentation in the form of your handwriting or your font size or your bold, italics and underline, but presentation in the form of your logical flow. So how much structured information is gathered through studying the given information, the given case study. So how much structured information you're able to gather, how much structuring you are able to do, and how much interrelatability you are able to find. Interrelatability. So that means I analyze, I say that if GP fell down, due to that, there was an effect on another ratios as well. There was an effect on these things as well. So I will say, because there were less number of contracts to me, it didn't just affect my profitability, but it also affected my other aspects, like it affected my goodwill, like it affected my projections, my budgets. And because it affected my projections and the budgets, I was not able to get a loan, and that basically affected my liquidity ratio as well. So all of this is analytical skill. You're going to interrelate the things. So here they will give you a raw information, this happened, this happened. They will give you things in past tense. So they will give you things in past tense, and I have to actually make valuable analysis out of that given case study in my present tense. So I will say that this thing happened and this means this and this will lead to this. So I'm using a past phrase, a past tense, and from that information, I am taking out basically a present tense, and I am also relating it with the future, and I am relating information from various sectors, and that is what we mean by interrelatability and analysis skill. Then you have the fourth skill, that is basically your evaluation. So how you're able to evaluate the things. So for example, if you have to make a financial decision, how do we make a financial decision? Have you guys done F9 paper? Please raise your hands, those of you who've done, or drop a yes in the chat box. Have you done your F9 paper, FM? Okay, 2 participants raised hand, 3 raised hands. Great. Yes, okay, good. So from that F9 paper, you know that when I have to appraise an investment, when I'm supposed to appraise an investment, what do I mean by appraisal of investment? Appraisal of investment is basically whether I should invest or not. That is basically basis on that is a decision based on NPV, basic indicator, net present value. What is the net present value of the future cash flows from that particular investment? If that is positive, we say we can go for this project. If that is negative, we say we should not go for this project. Then we also do the sensitivity analysis, don't we? We will learn all of these things throughout our course. Sensitivity analysis. So what is sensitivity analysis? If you calculated the NPV, you based it on certain figures, the revenue figure, the profit figure, the number of sales you will make. So all of those factors determined your NPV. But a slight change in that factor, how will that affect the NPV? Because it's all about future. Future is very volatile. I don't know what will happen. So I can't predict things perfectly. So in that case, we conduct the sensitivity analysis. I say if there is one variable factor, if there is one factor on which my net present value depends. So if there is a 10% change in it, how will that affect my NPV? That is sensitivity analysis. So if the sensitivity analysis concludes that even a 0.2% change in the number of sales you make in the upcoming 5 years is going to make your NPV negative, then we say that it is a highly sensitive investment and it is a risky investment and you should not go for it. So this is basically how we take our decisions. So we evaluate the things. You have to keep all your windows of the brain open. Just don't stick to what you read in the paper, because or what you read in the books. You have to be very specific to the case study. You will have to live that case study as if you are the person involved in that business, as if the things are just happening with you. So think that you are investing in that company and you will evaluate things, and then you will just not talk about NPV and sensitivity analysis. You will talk about payback period, and then you will say that why NPV is just not the sole factor and why payback period is considered also good. What are the other qualitative factors? Maybe you can say that I am basically teaching ACCA, and then I also give services to accounting clients. Now I am evaluating this decision that whether or not I should start selling certain products related to footwear. So before even I start with the financials, before even I start with the valuation, maybe the NPV is positive, sensitivity analysis also yes, payback period is also yes. But the qualitative is I don't have the employees for that, because I have not trained my employees for footwear industry. My employees are trained for educational industry. And then I have to diversify myself, I have to change my skills. I don't have any much knowledge about footwear industry. So all of these factors comes under evaluation, that you are critically evaluating the things, the positive as well as the negative points. That is evaluation, right? Then the fifth and the last one is basically your uh, communication. So communication is nothing but the way you present your answer in the form of PPT, in the form of report, in the form of your emails. So whether you use the correct format or not, that is basically your communication skill. So this is all about my professional skills marks, 20 marks available. And this is a 4-hour exam where we have to manage our time. How to manage our time, we'll discuss that now. Okay. So let us just quickly discuss the way we are going to manage our time. Time management. Okay. Now, time management would be your 4 hours are available. So the first hour is your RAPT. What is RAPT? Reading and planning time. So in the first hour, I'm just going to read the case study. I'm going to plan how to read, how to plan. That is what is there in my SPL course. That is what I'll be teaching you for the coming months. That is what you will be enrolling for. You'll be paying the fee for. So that is the reading and planning time. How to read the case study, how to plan it, how to utilize the computer-based platform, and all of that will be there in the first hour. Then in the last 3 hours, you're going to write your answer, and you will follow this technique of 1.8 minutes per mark. Okay, so I'm going to follow this technique 1.8 minutes per mark. So if the requirement is for 20 marks, I should not be spending more than 36 minutes on the requirement. So this is the, you can say, uh, bifurcation of the time which you have to use. And the reason why most of the students are not able to pass this SBL, or they're afraid of it, is because they're not able to manage their time. And irony is that it's the most, easy kind of a paper, because it is having 4 hours. And still, if you're not able to manage your time, then that means there's a lack of practice. You've not given enough mocks, and you're not able to, you're not clear about your thoughts. You're just making the examiner go through a story which you have created, and you're not clear about your thoughts. So you will have to maintain a clarity throughout the SBL paper. And for that, we will be doing the syllabus course. So as I just have shown you the notes, so these are the notes which we'll be following, and these are the topics which are there: leadership, agency relations, board of directors, reporting to stakeholders, to tier board stakeholders, CSR. All of these very easy topics, but the most important topics which I'm going to mark you here is this area. Okay, from introduction to strategy, then strategic analysis and the choice, because in the name of SPL, strategy is there. So strategy is most important. Then the second important area here in your syllabus is strategy and action. Then what is important is your leadership. So this area is important. corporate governance and leadership, and its mere theoretical area, which I'm going to quickly cover with you so that the concept is there in your mind and you actually understand what is there and why it is there. Then CSR, stakeholders, all of them are secondary topics, but the most important area is the leadership and the strategy. So I hope that thing makes sense to you. And yeah, so now you can guys can ask your doubts if you have any regarding the course of SPL, and then I'll share my course details. Yes, Shubham, you have some doubt. You raised your hand. You can just drop your doubts in chat box. Anything you want to ask? Okay. Shubham, you missed the SPR orientation. That's fine. You can get it on my YouTube channel. I'll be posting it soon. Okay. Mohammed is asking, what is the assumed knowledge for SPL? Assumed knowledge is all about the the models which are there, the theoretical aspects like corporate governance, and the stuff like how much board of directors should be there and why they should be there, how diversified your BOD should be, and stuff like strategy. So there are models which I can't explain you right now, like Ansoff matrix and the strategy models which we have. So differentiation of the products, cost leadership, so all of that is there in SPL, and there's no assumed knowledge. All of things will be taught from the scratch. There's no assumed knowledge. Is there any professional marks for SBR paper also? Yes, there are professional marks, but they are not for these 5 things. It's just for SBL that you have these 5 things. Okay, Madhav is asking, I heard that SBL and APM is interrelated. Is it right, and how much? Yes, yes. See, APM and SBL are very much interrelated because all of them talk about from the perspective of a businessman. So, what is happening to the business? That is something which you are analyzing and which you are concerned about. So, they have same model. So, 40% of the syllabus is same. And I will recommend the BPP kit, Madhav, for both of these papers, SBL as well as APM. Okay. Will the course cover enough material so that I can be? Yes. Yes. Okay. Rokwa, you are asking about course coverage. So see, my course will be including these notes, which we will read through, which we will cover the concept. So it's not that I'm going to make you read the notes. I'm going to first teach the concept to you, then we'll, see that what is written in this paragraph, so that everything is done in the class. So I believe in that you shouldn't read the stuff back at home. Whatever you do in the class, that should be enough. So you won't just do the notes with me, and then you will just do the questions, and even the questions will be solved in the class, the kit questions. Like in the previous quarters, I have solved around 40 to 50% of the kit in the class itself. So that's the strategy. So of course you'll be having enough course coverage so that you're able to appear in March 2021. Yes. And is it right to appear in SPL alone? Yes, very right. You should be spending time on it. Don't give any other exam. Nitishri is asking, while answering the requirements, I missed some points that I thought of writing while reading the question. How to actively read the case study and plan when the questions are too long? Yes, Nitishri, that's the good question. And I would say this is the most challenging aspect of SPL. This is what this course would be for actually. So if you guys, are reading a case study which is too long with so many information and so many requirements, so things just you confuse yourself. You are not able to write what you actually wanted to write at the first place. That's the problem. But the solution is to read the questions as many as you can. Solution is to actually give 2 mocks at least before you attempt the paper. Solution is that you actually practice the comprehension skills back then, which we had in our high school. The comprehension skills where we used to read the comprehension and then answer the questions. So that is what we are going to do in the first week, after first week of February. So our aim to complete the syllabus from the notes will be by first week of Feb, and that's what I have done in my previous quarters as well. We complete the syllabus by first week of the last month, which is available, and then we solve the kit questions. So that is going to be our approach this time as well. Is it right to pay an SPL alone? How much time you complete the syllabus? SPL wait, how notes? Yes, it will be in the form of PDF, Shwetal. If I start now every day studying 4 hours regularly, then should make SPL exam. If I'm starting now, should I make exam SPL? Okay, Madhav, if you start studying now every day 4 hours is too much, too good of you, too sweet of you that you're doing that. And currently, you can just focus on the syllabus content, and then with time, like in the Feb month, you can actually start with the kit. Okay, so I don't recommend you to solve whole of the kit, but from each topic, you should be doing 2 to 3 questions, that too from your hands, and typing it, and just not reading it, but also typing that answer. No, ethics module is not necessary. It's okay if you do it without ethics module. I personally did it without any ethics module. Do we have to read any articles for the preparation? Yes, you'll have to read the articles, and those articles will be given to you by me. I'll just uh, I will just actually give you the order in which you have to read the article. So I tell my students every time that this is the order, and these are the important technical articles. Okay. Okay, guys. So I hope your doubts are clear. Okay, Adnan is asking, can this paper will be given with AFM? Yes, you can give this paper with AFM because you said you've already studied for AFM once. So of course, you can manage SPL and AFM together. No, Mohammed, as I said, it's not at all essential to read textbook for SBL. All you have to do is attend the lectures, do the notes which I have shared with you just now on the screen, and do the kit questions. That too, not all the kit questions are required, but questions from important topics. Like if I say I'm talking about strategy, so I should be knowing the way they ask the questions in the exam. And mocks are the most important things. Okay, so mocks are the most important things. And why I'm saying that not whole of the kit, students raise question on that as well. The reason is, in SPL, they won't ever repeat the questions. Okay, they will always have a new case study, and they will have a new idea introduced in the paper. So there's no point actually doing the trend analysis. This came in previous year, this came in this year, and this will come in the next year, and solving all the questions of the kit, because questions in the kit are basically from the previous exam which was related to your P1 and P3. For SBL, they don't have much past exams available yet because it's a very new paper. So we should solve all those past papers which are available, which relate to SBL, and few questions from the kit. That is the agenda. Right? Okay. So I hope this session was helpful, guys. And if you guys want to ask any other thing and about the enrollment and about the timetable of our classes, then I will just share that with you on my WhatsApp. Yes, we'll be doing past papers in the class. That is most important thing. So I'll share the timetable with you, and you can WhatsApp me. I'm just dropping my number in the chat box for any further details which you want to inquire, or any general doubt which you have regarding SPL. Okay. Yeah. Yes, Madhav, I will adjust the time. Don't worry. So, okay, guys, take care and bye bye. I hope this session was helpful. Thanks for joining, and see you hopefully in our next sessions. So, the days with which we have our classes will be given to you over WhatsApp if you want to enroll. Yeah. Bye bye. Take care.